Good morning. It's time for pause, and we want to talk today about growth and integration of each timeline, right? Level of consciousness. Because we all know it, we are continuously growing. And if you're not growing spiritually, personally, mentally, physically, then you're actually dying, right? In some form or another. And that's what I want to talk about today is the things that hold us back when we are moving from one level of consciousness to another. And if you're a fly on the wall and you've been watching me for a little while, you'll know that I just had a massive shift in my life. And my daughter has told me that she's pregnant, right? And it's super exciting. And I'm going to be a grandma. And through this process, there was all of these waves of emotion that happened really fast. One of the things about me is I tend to integrate things very fast. And even as she told me, I had this wave of emotion, and then all of the things that came in through the process within seconds, and then processing all of this information that came through my auric field. So there was this like wave of light, right? This expansion of my vessel, this feeling of elation and excitement, all of the things, because my daughter and I have been wanting this for her for a long, long time, and she has a few health challenges that have stopped her from actually being able to have children. And both of us went into this space individually of thinking that it wasn't going to happen. And so, me being, on that spiritual journey, I went through all the pieces of that and what that meant. And so I grieved the elements of that, of, what it means. And I don't think that my son is going to ever have children. Potentially he will, way back, but you never know. But just going through the possibility, right? Because we are creators and we're co-creating with others, and we're co-creating with what our destiny is. Now, what I know is that when you have a desire, that desire is a potential in your life. You don't have a desire unless there's potential for you to experience that, for example, soulmate, right? If you're having a desire to meet a soulmate, then that means you've got the potential to meet a soulmate this lifetime. You and your higher self, your superconscious, the creator, doesn't give you a desire if, like, it's not the donkey with the stick and the carrot, right? If you've got a dream, a vision, an experience that you want to have, then it's not like you've got to wait 5 lifetimes to have that experience. It's something that you can have now. And there's potential for it, but the potential, this is the thing, is the mastery of this experience. Now, I keep having this thing pop up and it's annoying the crap out of me. As we move through our life, we have like this underlying limitation that's sort of like our core or our root limitation that we tend to hold on to forever and a day, because it's like our main correction, the main thing that we're sort of here to correct. And what happens is you sort of have these layers of the experience of it. You have these moments where it comes up, and then you think you've dealt with it, And then it's like, spiraling up the DNA ladder, right? So you're going through and you come back and loop into it again, but from a higher or a deeper perspective. And so then you work through it again, and it keeps coming up until you come to the understanding of why it's there, what the experience is you're going to gain from having that experience, or that limitation, that belief system, and through that, be able to let go or release the beliefs, the definitions, the labels, the events that may have happened around that, the memories, all of the things, the contracts with other people and with yourself. So there's so many little facets and particular frequencies that come into play. And so we tend to think, oh, here it is again, I'm broken. I'm never going to be able to fix this. I'm never going to be able to sort this out. It's just a continuous loop. Here it is again in a deeper level or a deeper understanding of it. And until you can understand the essence of it, the frequency of where it came from, and the linear passage even, of where the origin is, and be able to release it from the origin, it will taunt you for the rest of your days. And this is why relationships are so powerful. We relate to who we are through the experience of others. That's the magic of this place that we're in, this big matrix, right? This big collective, where the one consciousness split into fragments to experience itself and mirror itself through the eyes of the reflection, the mirror of itself. All of us are just one consciousness experiencing all the different perspectives and all the different here and now moments, right? In a construct that makes us think that we've got time and space. We've got this platform that we're all in, this structure, and so it gives us this time to experience ourselves as an individual, and if you have the understanding and the spiritual wisdom to see that we are all one. And so when you can understand that dichotomy and balance it and harmonize it and come to a place of acceptance that we're all one, now you can work on the things that are triggering you and recognize that those triggers are only yourself reflecting back at you. And so it's about redefining things. And when you go into a certain phase of your life, right? So you've been, growing in a certain way, and you get to like this, the highest level of that level of consciousness, right? Like you feel like you've got your shit sorted out and everything's working well and life's going good and all the things, and then it happens that you have new light come in, new level of consciousness. Like, I can give an example of everything was going really well for me, and then I met Tim, right? And so now I've got the two of us, instead of me just hanging out and creating by myself. Now I'm in a partnership, and all of the new rules and regulations and things that were underneath that I didn't have to look at by myself because they didn't come up. All of these frequencies that came up about being deeply loved, about sacrifice, about co-creation, and all of these little things, working with the other people in our lives, supporting and growing together. Little things like sleeping in somebody else's frequency and energy in the bed, right? Like there's all these little tiny nuances that happen that give us the opportunity to now move from one frequency or energy into, like at the top where everything's going fine, into the bottom layer of the next level. And so we can go into the space of, here we go again, like, haven't I sorted this out? Like, I thought I was on the right track. And all the things that the unconscious wants to share with us, that and say that, no, this is us being broken, and brings up all of these memories, all of these belief systems that we thought we'd sorted out, and next thing they're there again. So it just happened again for me, where now, like, everything was sorting out, everything was going really well in my relationship. I'd cleaned up all of these pieces, and now I'm a grandmother, and all of this old stuff from way back, with my mum, right? All of the stuff of what it was like for me being pregnant with my mum as the grandmother. All of the old stuff that's come up, that's been deeply buried and dormant for a long time, about my relationship with her, with the father of my kids, right? All of this stuff, it's like, no, 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 you're not going to let go of that. It's there for more information to come. And how are you going to behave? How are you going to act? Or, like, what is your your role? Makes sense, right, Renee? Yeah, another lever. Those belief systems we thought we sorted out goes, yeah, boom, right? And so this is why people have this, like, this is a spiritual or metaphysical understanding of what is it, that postnatal depression. So we have this unbelievable experience of giving birth, but now we're at this new level. We've just opened a new door of consciousness, and floods in all of this stuff of having to step up into a new frequency, and being good enough to do that, and capable enough to do that. And what does that mean in the big scheme of things? Who am I now in this new frequency, right? I've got a couple that I'm working with that they have been working very diligently together to move in together for the first time in 5 years. Long story. However, we've just been working together for the last 9 months, and they're moved in together, and that was the end result. That was the goal, was to create this beautiful relationship where they felt comfortable enough to be living together in a new, together in a house, right? Well, now that that's happened, of course, this new experience is happening where they've got to now understand the balance between the two of them of living harmoniously in such close proximity. And what does that mean to them as a partnership? But also, what does that mean to them and their extended families, right? Because they've both got kids to separate relationships, and they've got, business and work and all of the things that come up. What are the new boundaries? What are the new rules that, guidelines that we're going to have? How can we both respect each other and still get our needs met? So all of these little things, these nuances, as we open up these new levels of understanding. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people, I find, would rather stay in that loop. I call it the Mad Hatter's loop. Would rather stay in the Mad Hatter's loop of just feeling like the old emotions, like I'd rather judge somebody else than look at myself, right? I would rather be cynical of the situation than look at my part. That's what I find in a lot of people is uh, this fear of stepping into the growth of actually looking at the internal terrain and making a difference internally so that your vibration shifts into that new frequency and you open up a new level of being. Now this is what I'm talking about when I talk about growth, because when we choose the old patterns instead, I would rather complain about the situation, right? I'd rather complain and say, I didn't do anything wrong. It's them. They're the ones that need to sort it out. They're the ones that need to change their behavior. They're the ones that need to come and forgive me or apologize to me and all of those things. When you stay in that frequency, then that's when you're going, in that crazy loop of never actually being able to grow into a higher frequency, and the universe, the creator, your superconscious, give you the next level of abundance and love and support and nurturing and connection and all the expansive feelings that happen when you grow into and become the next level and step into that higher timeline that we all desire, but we don't all want to put the work in. So I'm going to ask you, when it comes to relationships, what is it that you see external to yourself that's giving you the same thought pattern over and over again, a particular belief, right? A feeling, a way of being that you are behaving in that is being mirrored outside, right? So the same thing coming up over and over again. I personally, to give you an example, my experience has been that all the way through my life, my biggest belief system that's held me back for so long is that I don't belong. I could give you story after story, and I brought it up here before, story after story after story after story of being separate, right? Like, I was born as the only girl in the family, and there's 7 years between me and my two brothers. I was in the street in the 80s. I was born in the 70s. In the 80s, I was in this street where all of the neighbours used to get together and socialise and do outings and gatherings and barbecues and all sorts of stuff. And we were nearly smack bang in the middle of all of them. And my mum didn't, right? My mum most probably also had generational experience of feeling separate and not belonging. And so they used to get together. There was me in the middle, and there was Sharon on one side and Amanda on the other side. We were all about the same age. And when they all had a party and gathering, I was sent home, right? Even, in the family, that when I started connecting in with, and my first relationship, which was the father of my kids, even in that relationship, I didn't feel like I belonged. I was the only girl when we all hung out with boys. Um, I could just, even when I did the past life regression training, like I did 7 years of that, I was the youngest in the group. They were all an hour and a half away from me. I was down in Cairns. They were all up the tablelands. Um, over and over and over and over and over again. I could tell you all these stories. And so my unconscious wants to go into the space of you don't belong, right? And you're separate from the rest of the world. And it hasn't come up for a long time. And here we are moving into this beautiful experience where I'm going to be a grandma, and it's come up for me, right? I in little tiny moments, even going yesterday to lunch with my family, my side of the family. My brother's just turned 60, and feeling very separate to the rest of them, like because my energy goes into that space. Well, this morning, because I've been being aware of it, right? And doing my work, the work that I teach other people, right? Going through the process of how to integrate this. And the next level of it, or actually, I feel like the seed that has been there all along, and I've been moving into it potentially, but not wanting to go there because of the implications of it, right? Even saying it on here, I recognize that there's a resistance to actually saying it. But this morning, I realized that it's not that I'm separate, it's that I'm set apart. And so holding that and understanding that this is just a different way of being and that there's nothing wrong with it, instead of falling into being a victim with my unconscious, recognizing there's a higher level and definition that I have been rejecting because it didn't feel comfortable to my unconscious. And being able to step into it this morning and recognize it has let go of so many uh, frequencies and so many things that have been around me and given me relief in my body. It's like, my higher self sort of went, yes, this is it, right? You're getting it, you're integrating it, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not egotistical. It's not like all of the things that the unconscious wants to share and say, beat the drum of that means this and that means that, is no longer there, because that's what was holding me back from experiencing this and saying it to myself and acknowledging it. So what is it that is this one belief system that's been holding you back for most probably all your life, and it keeps looping? It comes back in all different ways, in all different scenarios and experiences. What's that one thing that's been the nuance, that annoying little scratch on the chalkboard that just drives you crazy every time? A lot of people, it's just the experience of not being good enough, right? That is their essence that they're holding onto in their unconscious, and don't know how to let go of it, don't know how to get to the seed of where it came from, because often the seed is not from this lifetime. Often the seed is generational. Often the seed is past lives. Often the seed is, has got multi-dimensional aspects to it. Always felt in alienation, didn't fit in, black sheep, but this is a relief. Whoa, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, the black sheep of the black sheep is one of my challenges that I've had forever and a day. So, and we've all got our own blueprint, and we've all got our own version of this, that for what I'm experiencing may be very different to what you're experiencing. And so as we get closer, I think it's this Wednesday that we have our vision map experience. It's a 90-minute walking through the, going through the looking glass, right? And stepping into that timeline uh, in the next 9 years, so 2035, it's going to look very different because we've got our own experience that our higher self is desiring for us to uh, become in for our soul to experience, right? And then we've got this collective that is shifting and changing, and they say that we're going to have some massive changes by 2030. So our lives are going to look very, very different in 2035, and we're going to do a quantum leap into 2025 to look at what that highest timeline is and what are those things that we need to self-correct to get there. What are the things that we need to readjust, navigate as we go along to support our higher self to make the best and highest and best decisions so that we actually live at that potential. We actually experience ourselves at that higher self, that higher level of being. So that's this Wednesday. Throw into the comments if you're interested, vision, and I will catch you on Wednesday. Take care.